So, welcome to the LawyerFair Daily Podcast. I am Andrew Weaver, and there are some ideas and concepts that immediately resonate, and that is exactly how I felt when I discovered crowd justice very recently, and it's why I'm particularly delighted that the founder of crowd justice, Julia Salasky, has joined us today. Welcome, Julia.
Thanks very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's brilliant that you've carved out some time, and what I know is a ferociously busy time for you at the moment. We'll come to that in a moment. But just to a wider perspective, there are many examples at the moment about how the crowd and the community is having a direct impact on modern life, everything from petitions to finance. But Julia has created crowd justice. And Julia, tell us more about how the crowd is going to impact and crowd justice is going to help impact on access to legal services.
Well, you're quite right that the crowd has made a big impact in other areas. But the way we saw that crowd justice could fill a gap in the existing legal climate and legal framework is that it provides access to justice by enabling communities to come together to achieve access to justice where it otherwise might not be possible.
Okay, well, just to break it down for people that don't get that concept, how does it actually work? What is it doing for people?
Well, what it does is it allows people who have a legal case or are in need of legal advice to put their case or their issue up on the site and to publicize it and to seek crowdfunding for that. So it essentially enables people who require access to justice or otherwise wouldn't be able to afford getting access to justice in a way to leverage the power of communities to help them fund their claim.
So essentially, I mean, I know this is on your side actually, but it allows people to access courts. It's not just for those who can afford it anymore. This is a platform that allows people to access the court system without needing great wealth. They can get the community and the crowd to help them get there.
Completely right.
Well, just probably the best illustration then, Julia, is I know you only recently launched, which is why you're ferociously busy at the moment, but you've got two cases on the platform, one of which has already been funded, which is great news, and a second which has recently been put on the platform. But I think they give a great example, if you could explain more about those two particular cases, of how the platform is working.
Absolutely. In the two cases we have up on the platform and in the various cases that are to come on the platform in the next couple of weeks, what we have is basically vulnerable or otherwise non-wealthy individuals who are seeking funding to access different areas of legal services that they otherwise wouldn't be able to afford. So, for example, in the first case, the claimant was funding to, even though his lawyers were doing it on a no-win, no-fee basis, he was funding to try to cover other legal costs, for example, experts' fees.
No, absolutely. And the second case?
In the second case, what we have is someone who's funding to cover the cost of a protective costs order. So essentially that enables him to have protection if he loses the case from, for example, losing his home. He's on a state pension, but he has a little bit of equity in the family home, which means he's not eligible for legal aid.
I think what strikes me, two things that strike me, Julia, with those. First of all, is the diversity of the two cases that you've suggested. I certainly, from my perspective, I saw the first one and I thought this was a very global issue, big corporations and local communities. And then you've got the second case, which is very much more about a local issue. And I think the thing I found and love about it, frankly, is I've often sat at the reading my Sunday papers, Julia, thinking, getting outraged about how Goliath bashes David over the head all the time. And your platform allows people to reverse that and actually have a go back. And I think it empowers not only the people who are involved in that, but also actually empowers people like me who feel fairly powerless in being able to help.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good way to put it, because the idea of communities coming together and technology enabling that is really, really empowering. And a lot of the issues and court cases that come up on the site are things that a lot of different people, I think, will feel like they have a personal stake in. Yeah. And it is very empowering to be able to contribute and get case updates from someone that's running a case that could affect you and could affect your community as well.
So in terms of the updates, is that, I mean, obviously we've got crowdfunding and all the finance tools where you kind of invest and expect a return. But on this, it's very much about helping someone. And what's the feedback? Is there a direct response from the people you're helping or from the platform? How does it work in terms of
well, absolutely. From the perspective of the people who are backing the cases, we really see this, and I think they really see this as an investment in their community or an investment in the legal system. So trying to have an impact on legal issues is, as you say, it's a really empowering thing. And then in terms of as the case progresses, the idea is that the claimant or the case owner gives updates to backers so that they continue to feel involved in the case as it progresses.
And so obviously if you're a backer, you can follow it through to its conclusion. Are you expecting there to be kind of ongoing engagement? For example, if someone needs a small amount of cash to be raised for a particular court hearing, is there potential for carrying on with the backing of that person through whatever later tribulations they face?
Absolutely, and that's one of the challenges of court cases in general, is that they often involve several different stages, which can require additional funding at later stages.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely the possibility that a claimant could come back to the site and say, look, you supported me the first time round, and I'd love to have your support in the second stage of my case.
Yeah, and who, just to be clear about the actual process, Julia, who's responsible for the money that's raised? Is that's not crowd justice, is it? That's directly with the person who's raising the money, is that right?
Well, one of the additional sort of safeguards that we provide is that the money that's raised goes to a solicitor's client account. So for those people who aren't familiar with the legal system in general, the idea is that the solicitor holds money on trust for its client.
Right.
So in that respect, backers have a lot more sense of credibility of the fact of the case's existence and the fact that the money is being spent in the way that it was proposed that it would be spent.
I understand. Now, Julia, I'm particularly thrilled that you've carved out some time, because you launched on May the 22nd, which is 4 or 5 weeks ago. I mean, how are you feeling? How's the first burst of activity going?
It has been a burst of activity, but it's been really rewarding. And I've been able to speak to a lot of different people who are running very, very interesting cases and cases that they're really passionate about and that have huge community impact. So it's been very, very rewarding.
And are there, I mean, we'll give out the details in a moment. So if you have a case that you think might be something for crowd justice to work with, and also if you want to contribute, then obviously there's a website. We'll give the details out. But are there other people and stakeholders that you're interested in meeting and speaking with, Julia? Is there a resource that you would like to get on board that would help you?
I think the idea of reaching all sorts of different communities is really is what we're aiming to do, because all sorts of people can have cases that have a public interest element. So there's no specific group that we're trying to reach out to at the moment.
No, and obviously by the nature of the first two cases, one was Colombian, wasn't it? It was certainly South American, and the other UK. Is geography not an issue as well for you? This is very much a global platform.
Well, it is and it isn't. We're focusing at the moment on the UK court system and on accessing the UK courts. So even though in the first case we had an internationally based claimant, he is actually bringing his claim in front of the UK courts.
Right.
So we do have a UK focus, although a lot of this implicates global issues. So you never know where the crowd can come from in some cases.
Well, I suspect this will very quickly gather momentum, and you'll be dealing with that issue very soon, I suspect. But Julia, thank you so much again. And just to be absolutely clear, if you're interested in contacting Crowd Justice, it's crowdjustice.co.uk.
It is, yeah.
Julia, thanks so much, and the very best of luck with everything.
I really appreciate it.
Not at all. That was the LawyerFair Daily Podcast. Thank you for listening.